All right, well, thanks, Dan. You don't have to stand there the whole time.
You can if you want.
Bye, Dan.
We're not
you want
gonna
hammer
talk to you
dance
anymore.
off?
Bye.
Way to break the illusion.
Oh, no. I mean, see ya.
Elevator?
How was your New Year's? All right. So, how was your New Year's, Gus? What did you do for New Year's?
My older son had gotten an earache, and it was like really bad when we had to stop. And we're in the middle of nowhere. I don't even know what the name of the town was or if it was even incorporated, but just middle of nowhere, Texas. And we pulled over, and there was a doctor's office, and it said open till 12. And we're like, okay, great. So because like 11:55, we pulled in there, and we start filling out the forms, and they come out at 12:01. They go, oh, we can't see you. It's like, you see my kid? He's like screaming. He's like dying. Like, oh, yeah, but we close at 12. He'll be fine. There's another one down the road. And we're like, oh my God. So they sent us to another place down the road, which was another doctor's office.
Was this noon or midnight?
It was noon. It was noon. They closed at noon for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
But we got to the next place, and it was like 12:15 from driving over there, and they had a sign up that said, closed for lunch back at 1.
Oh my God.
So we just had to sit in the parking lot for 45 minutes.
So if anything happens to you in this town between like 12 and 1,
12 and 1,
you're fucked.
You're dead. I mean, Brandon right now would have no chance whatsoever.
He's got
He
no
would just
chance
bleed
anyway.
out in a parking lot somewhere.
Don't get stabbed at lunch.
Yeah. But the doctor finally comes in, and he was a big, kind of like burly dude, and kind of just and looks at my son real quick and says, "Oh yeah, he's got a terrible earache. That looks awful."
Oh.
And
Is that what you learned in medical school?
yeah, it's like you had that down. And then he says, "Well, he'll never see me again. When we give him a shot." We're like, "What does that mean?" What's the first part of that mean? He'll never see me again.
You want me to punch him once for you?
Yeah, exactly.
Shut up, kid.
We're like, you mean like is there a choice of different options? Like, well, you take antibiotics too. You go that way. We're like, yeah, antibiotics. So that's pretty common, so we'll do that. And he goes, all right, whatever. You want me to give you like super strong cough medicine, just knock him out for the rest of the trip? We're like, what?
You sure this wasn't a vet or something?
No, he was like, look, man, I got 5 kids. That's how I roll. I'm telling you, hey, Junior, take this. See you when we get there. That's how it works. And we're like, nah, that's okay. And he goes, not that kind of parent. Whatever.
I like how he's judging you for not drugging up your kid. He's like, oh, I don't want to knock him out.
And then
huh?
he took out the chloroform.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
You're one of those
He's like,
liberal
"Don't worry,
Austin
it's for me."
sissies.
And that was it. But yeah, I think my son was like ready to get out of there as fast
All
as
of a sudden, his
possible.
ear was fine.
Yeah, he saw this guy was like trying to knock him out.
So y'all are
Can I
proud
leave
of
this weird small town?
There's like those little capsules you can take with fish oil in them. And
Yes.
he wanted to make a video where I just bit into one and just
With the
swallowed,
omega-3
swallowed
oil.
the oil. Which was
Gross.
gross.
Really?
What is that though? When you get, which, is that fish? Or is it just,
You got to squeeze the fish
Yeah,
real
like
hard and the
just
oil comes out. It's like a drop per fish.
yeah, just like wring it like a towel. You just like squeeze out the fish.
There's just some big strong guy that's like, with the fish.
Into like the little capsule.
Yeah.
He's like, "Ugh."
Although I did see Bear Grylls do that once. He caught a fish and then just went and like squeezed out all the eggs. He was like,
Oh.
fresh caviar. And then put the fish back.
Put the
Fresh
fish back.
caviar.
Yeah, it was gross.
That's disgusting.
The fish is like swimming around for that. Like, what the fuck just happened?
Or it'd just be like, oh, I feel great.
I feel lighter now.
I feel like I just lost 5 ounces.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Can a woman breastfeed for as long as she wants?
Yes, if they keep doing it after the baby has come. Like they can't just start at any time.
After the baby?
Yeah, like after the baby.
How did I know it was going to
After
go
the
there?
baby's been born, ladies and gentlemen.
God, Gavin. Jesus
After the baby,
Christ,
after
man.
the baby pops out.
It's a brand new year. I think maybe tone it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Jeez.
First podcast.
I can't go on from
Yes.
that. I don't know what to say now.
Thanks for joining the podcast, Matt.
Yeah.
Hope you welcome to the new year.
So as
I
long,
apologize.
Podcast 200, everybody.
so as long as someone keeps sucking on the tit, it'll keep producing. Is all it boils down to.
Yeah, mental images are just awful right now.
That was where we saw the tiny horse.
What?
Do you remember that?
Little Sebastian?
Weren't you there?
Little Sebastian.
It was like an Italian restaurant. We were eating outside, and a miniature horse came up. It was like this woman. It was really strange.
Oh.
She
Oh
came
my
up.
God, I do remember that.
Yeah, she came up with a miniature horse that was the size of like a medium-sized dog, like a,
Really small.
like a
It's really small.
like a 50-pound dog, you know, and except it was a horse. and she came up and like she just started talking with people who were eating at the Italian restaurant. And at first, it was kind of quaint, like, oh, this is really weird. Like this weird horse comes up and this lady is talking to you in downtown, and then it just started to get creepy because she would just stand there and just like was watching us eat. We're all like, okay, well, we're just gonna eat our Italian food now, and she's just standing there with her little like Island of Dr. Moreau horse.
Why would she bring that
know?
around?
I don't know. I was like, but maybe it's like she was waiting for us to give the horse a bread roll or something. I couldn't figure out what her deal was. And then she rode off. I was kidding.
How small does an animal have to be before it's creepy? Like, say you had a cat, but it was like this big, like the size of a tarantula. That'd be creepy, right? It's kind of like
It's also impossible.
Would it be cute?
A cat the size of like a tarantula?
I think that would be
like-
cute.
That would be pretty
Okay.
cute,
Right.
but it would also never happen.
Yes, that's true as well.
But you got to think of like an uglier animal or like an animal people don't like. Oh
Yeah.
man, speaking of which, I think I have a possum living like in my backyard.
Oh no.
Oh.
Yeah, I got to figure out a
Those
way.
things are
that,
ugly.
Yeah, that one like this size, that's creepy.
Yeah.
A possum the size of a tarantula,
But you just do your thing, you get a shovel, right?
shovel and kill it. Did I ever talk about that in the podcast?
I think you did.
Just shoveling the heads off.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Like I said, it's better than leaving it there and letting it die of exposure. Like
My-
a long, prolonged, painful death.
Those like possum babies, right?
Yeah.
God.
Decapitating baby.
Awful. Oh, it's awful.
Well, come on. It's more humane. It's a quick death versus just laying there and dying of exposure and dehydration.
I had a relative that died, and usually you find out more stuff about someone after they've died because everyone's talking about them.
Yeah.
And I found out just a horrific story that I was like, I can't believe she did that. Apparently, she had a cat that was never neutered, so whenever it would give birth to kittens, she would just take all the kittens and flush them.
Oh, Jesus.
Put them in the toilet and flush them like goldfish. It's like,
Oh my God.
you can't just casually say that. That's disturbed.
Whoa.
What the fuck? That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solves the problem, I guess, but
You know what solves the problem? Fixing the cat.
Or shovel.
it's terrible.
I had an uncle in Dallas who had a raccoon problem.
Yeah.
He woke up and like heard noises and went into his kitchen, and there was like a raccoon that was just like raiding everything. Like it figured out how to get the fridge open. It was just going hog wild, like making a sandwich, And raccoons are fucking vicious. Those things are crazy little terrors. And so you kind of like,
He's like holding a knife at him.
yeah,
Like,
it's like okay,
Beer's over there.
yeah. He had loaded his gun and it was, and so he like scared it off somehow, like got it out the front door. But then he quickly figured out that it was coming through the doggy doors. And they had a weird setup where they had the doggy doors, and it was like a doggy door from the outside that went into a hall closet, like a coat closet. And then there was another doggy door coming out of the closet door on the inside of the house. So he's like, aha, I know what to do. He got a cage, like it was like a trap cage, with the trap door, and put it in front of the
outside.
hole. And so sure enough, in the middle of the night, he hears ka-chung, rah, raccoon going crazy. And so he gets up and he starts to go and check on the raccoon, but he gets there and the door's like shaking, like the door's like rattling all around, like at the scene from Poltergeist, and like the evil force is trying to get out and overtake the world, and he's just like, I'm just gonna leave that till morning. And he leaves. I don't know how he went to sleep, but he comes back in the morning, and somehow the raccoon had like bopped around in this cage and managed with its little, hook nails it has to pull off every single one of his coats and pull it into the cage.
Oh,
Like
no.
nice leather coats, his wife's fur coat.
Oh, my
Like
God.
all this, like, I mean, it's probably like, thousands of dollars worth of coats, from like, a lifetime of having coats. And he pulls into this cage and it just like shredded them and made like a little coat nest.
Oh, my
So the raccoon was like, what's up? Just enjoying coat time.
The coats on the rack just going down one by one. They're all looking
Yeah.
at each other like,
I like the thought of the.
I don't want to be next.
I like the thought of the raccoon being in the cage. Like, well, I guess this is my life. I better make the best of it. Let's get some coats down here.
I think a raccoon once ate one of my T-shirts. I told the story on the podcast once when I was staying in Jeff's studio, and I threw up into one of my T-shirts because there was no toilet, so I had to just throw up into something, and then I just threw it outside, and it was gone the next day.
That's weird.
Could have been eaten though. Like, or I think an animal must have taken it. It wouldn't have just blown away.
That's a great story.
Literally, it's like one of those moments where, when you can die, you can go back and see what actually happened, like
That's what you were gonna
JFK or
pick?
something.
Like third-person view
Yeah, like,
in
Free
Halo.
cam it, theater
Yeah.
mode.
Who shot JFK in the head and all that. I would want to watch my T-shirt that night and see where it actually went. It's really confusing to me. Yeah, it's one of those things.
That's what you would burn your free cam on.
Can you imagine how startling it would be because planes do sometimes collide in the air, right?
It's rare, but yeah.
I was just taking a piss on the plane and just thinking of if a plane hit this right now. Me with my penis out suddenly falling towards the earth would be such like a change of states. I'd be like, everything's fine.
If you were falling and that happened, would you bother putting your dick back in your pants, or would you just fall with it like
tumbling
out
towards
in
Earth,
your
like-
hands? So I'd be like, fuck it, just keep going, just
Might as well.
roll with it.
There you go. Coming in this world naked, might as well leave naked too.
the worst thing to see. Just walking down the street and a guy lands. Just penis out.
Oh my God.
It's actually really rare for planes to collide. If you think about like a 3D space, like
Yeah.
with everything.
I always used to think, because they leave a load of stuff in space sometimes, like space debris. And I was wondering,
Yeah, there's a lot of
I was like,
space junk up there,
space
right?
junk.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, surely they're going to run out of room. But then you realize that the area around the Earth is bigger than the Earth, so there's even more room than there is on Earth for that kind of thing. So
Yeah, but it's a limited amount of space. Thanks for cutting me while I'm putting my earpiece back in. There's a limited amount of space where
So you think
they'll
there's more
launch
space
satellites
aro't the
into.
Earth than there is on the Earth?
But
Yeah. Well, in the orbit,
that's what I'm saying. There's a limited amount of space that they'll use for in
but
orbit, though.
the sky is bigger than the ground.
This is
The
science.
sky is bigger. That's the next T-shirt. Gavin Free. The sky is bigger than the ground,
Science time with
and people
Gavin
like
Free.
grapes. The sky is bigger than the ground. It's true, but it's just such a weird way to say it.
Like
I feel like
4-year-old child
people
learning
think
facts.
like I laugh when you say that, right? And I think a lot of listeners think like I'm laughing at you because you're an idiot. But no, I agree with you. You're right. The sky is bigger than the ground, but it's just like such a weird fundamental thought that you never would have thought of. Like I never would have thought of.
Yeah.
The sky is bigger than the ground.
That's a good way to start off the year.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So-
We're becoming the Californians all
Yeah, I
of a
have
sudden.
no idea.
So your
Take
first,
405.
your first impression of Gus must have been pretty terrible then.
Well, isn't everybody's?
Well, the funny thing is, we had already been hanging out earlier in the day, and I remember
Yeah.
you were driving obviously because you lived out there, and at one point we were driving by the Capitol Records building. Like this is my first, like one of my first times in LA. So like I remember I was like, oh, I've seen that building in movies before, and some woman in like a convertible Mercedes cut you off,
Oh yeah.
and you
Jeff
honked,
brought this up on another podcast.
you
as
honked
well.
at her, and then she just turned around with her sunglasses on and looked at you and mouthed, "You have a small dick." And then turned around and just kept driving. And I just about died laughing in the back seat.
Wow. LA.
Probably
Gotta
my
love it.
worst LA driving experience.
God.
Do you ever miss? Matt always said
I miss that woman.
Matt always said that traffic in Austin was worse than traffic in LA.
Yeah, I know. I get berated by Bernie for this. But what I was trying to say was that traffic in Austin is less predictable than traffic in LA. In LA, you know when the traffic jams are going to be.
I 100% agree with that. Like LA, and also LA, traffic's always flowing. Like even if it sucks, at least it's moving. Austin, you can be on I-35 going 70, round a hill, and suddenly you're parked on the highway, and you're going to be like that for 30 minutes.
There was a car in the middle of, I think it was on Congress yesterday, just completely on fire.
Sweet.
Like massively on fire. Don't know. I have no idea what happened.
I had never seen a car on fire. Then one time I was driving up 35. Like I was visiting my family, and I was driving back to Austin, and I saw a car on fire. Like it was on the side of the road. It was a minivan. It was like a family standing off to the side. I'm like, oh, that sucks for them. Within and this was the first time I'd ever seen a car on fire. Within a week, I saw 2 more.
Really?
I was like, in 1 week, I saw 3 cars on fire after never having seen one.
Good lord.
I can't see you
crazy.
serious with those gloves. Like, you're very hand expressive today for some reason.
There's a rule in the UK about if your car catches on fire in a tunnel, you have to drive it out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You can't just get out.
What?
Because it's dangerous to have a fire in a tunnel.
You could destabilize the tunnel, it might collapse or something.
Or everyone in there will die.
But you'll die in the car.
Well, it's better to lose one person with a shitty car than like a bunch of
I
people who
guess
are
so.
innocent.
I have to do this for England.
For the
Like every car in the UK comes with a brick. You just put on the gas and jump
Like-
out. Send it down the road.
If your radio has a thermometer built into it, and if it gets above like 140 degrees, it starts playing "God Save the Queen," and it like give you the strength to get through the tunnel.
I can do this.
Just see someone hauling ass.
So I'm sure people are dicks. Don't get out of the way. Like, yeah, fuck, wait, wait in line like everyone else.
Excuse me, I'm on fire.
Yeah, you're on fire going behind someone, and then they turn around and go.
Just small dick.
Well, I do like that in Austin. Anytime I cut off a woman in traffic in Austin, she always says I have a huge dick.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's Texas, so.
Traffic brings out like the worst in people, like road
It
rage.
does.
Like you will say
Oh,
the most
man.
awful things.
Dude, I saw the weirdest road rage thing when we were driving in Atlanta. We were driving along in the middle lane of a 3-lane highway and like nobody around us. And this little like Hyundai or something just puttered up in front of us. And then this like huge like white F-150 like rearing all around, like cut in front of us. And I was like, whoa, what's going on with this guy? He seemed like he was drunk. And then he got up next to the guy in the Hyundai and starts yelling at him through the window and was like pointing at him again and says, like, come on, I'll take you on and stuff like that. And the Hyundai did some weird maneuver. And the Hyundai's like, it looked like it was like an 8,000 pound disadvantage to this F-150. They did some little maneuver where he tricked the guy to like getting over, and then he put on his brakes and caused the guy to stop, and the guy kind of veered off into the emergency lane and hit some debris in the emergency lane and lost it and was done. The F-150 was out, and the guy in the little Hyundai just went and puttered away like Mr. Magoo going down the road.
Drives off, just adjusts his tie, and carries on.
James Bond.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're about that time where we got to wrap things up.
No, so you're gonna be in Vegas when this is airing.
Yes, I will be. I'll actually be on a plane on the way back.
Oh, okay.
What is the equivalent of doing that to a woman? Like the woman said, you have a small penis.
Tell her she has a huge vagina.
Bucket vagina, right?
Or you have no boobs. Like this, no boobs.